You're about to discover something that research shows can produce measurable reductions in stress and promote your body's natural relaxation responses. There's an enchanted meadow where ancient grass hums with forgotten songs and moonlight dances on weathered stones. Take a slow, deep breath if you'd like, letting it flow out gently. Science shows these natural soundscapes do more than soothe. They help the body register safety, supporting reduced stress hormones and activation of your rest response. Tonight, let me guide you into this Celtic realm where whispered legends carry you toward sleep. A weary traveler wanders through stories older than memory, searching for something extraordinary beneath the starlit sky. Through twisted branches and shadow-draped paths, our traveler stumbles forward on legs that shake with exhaustion. Each step sends tremors through muscles that have carried too much weight for too long. The forest behind whispers with dark promises, but ahead, something impossible begins to emerge from the darkness. Their chest rises and falls in ragged gasps as shoulders bend under invisible burdens that follow them everywhere. The first glimpse stops them completely. Where dense woodland should continue, a circle of light spreads across the earth like spilled starlight. This meadow shouldn't exist here, shouldn't glow with such impossible radiance in the heart of these ancient woods. The traveler blinks hard, certain their weary mind has conjured this vision from desperate hope. But the light remains, pulsing gently as if the earth itself breathes beneath the blanket of luminous grass. Moonbeams strike each blade and transform the ordinary into pure magic. What should be simple meadow grass becomes thousands of silver threads that catch celestial light and hold it prisoner. The entire field shimmers like liquid mercury poured across sleeping earth, each stem moving independently in breezes that carry no chill. The traveler's eyes widen as they realize this isn't reflection, but something deeper, as if the grass stores moonlight in its very cells. Step by careful step, they move closer to this impossible sanctuary. Their breathing begins to shift without conscious thought, the shallow gasps of anxiety giving way to longer, deeper draws of flower-scented air. Take a slow breath if you'd like, letting it flow out gently. The traveler feels tension begin to ease, as if their body has permission to relax. The meadow radiates peace like warmth from a hearth, invisible but unmistakable in its embrace. Every blade carries tiny worlds of wonder. Microscopic dewdrops refract moonlight into a rain of tiny stars, transforming simple moisture into nature's own jewelry. The traveler kneels at the meadow's edge, watching this light show dance across thousands of grass blades in patterns that hurt to comprehend. Their pulse slows as they cross into this sacred space. This feeling mirrors what studies find. Natural soundscapes can help the brain register safety and move toward rest. The meadow feels like a place built to welcome weariness into rest, triggering responses buried deep in human memory. This is what safety feels like, their primitive brain whispers. This is home. Strange music begins to rise from the earth beneath their feet. Not quite sound, not quite vibration, but something that exists in the space between hearing and feeling. These melodies carry age in their notes, harmonies that predate the first human words, rhythms that match heartbeats from ages past. The traveler tilts their head, trying to locate the source, but realizes the songs come from everywhere at once, woven into the very fabric of this enchanted ground. Night-blooming jasmine releases its perfume in waves that crash over them like gentle surf. Each breath brings new layers of scent. Rain-washed stone speaks of permanence. Celtic moss holds secrets in its green depths. Wildflowers bloom only under starlight. These fragrances work together to create something that bypasses thought entirely, speaking directly to the part of the brain that remembers when humans lived closer to the Earth's rhythms. The grass beneath their feet feels different from ordinary meadow ground. Each step sinks slightly, not into mud, but into something that yields like the earth welcomes their weight. Blades brush against their ankles with touches that seem almost deliberate, as if the meadow reaches out to offer comfort through 1,000 tiny caresses. The traveler realizes their shoulders have dropped, tension they've carried for years finally beginning to release. Above them, the sky holds more stars than should be visible, arranged in patterns that seem familiar, yet impossible to name. Constellations shift slowly, telling stories in languages made of light, while the moon watches with ancient eyes. The traveler feels small beneath this cosmic display, but safely small, held rather than diminished by the vastness overhead. Their breathing deepens further as the meadow's gentle influence spreads through their system. Every inhalation brings peace. Every exhalation carries away another fragment of worry that has lived too long in their chest. Let your own breath slow here, matching the rhythm of this ancient place. The songs from the earth grow stronger now, harmonies building on themselves until the entire meadow rings with music that exists somewhere between memory and dream. These are the lullabies the earth sang to the first humans, melodies that called our ancestors to rest when darkness fell and dangers prowled beyond the firelight. The traveler's brain begins to slow its frantic chatter, finally remembering what quiet feels like. Something moves at the meadow's heart, near a standing stone that rises from the grass like a monument to forgotten gods. The traveler's eyes struggle to focus on the shifting form, but they feel no fear, only curiosity tinged with wonder. The meadow has prepared them for whatever comes next, their nervous system now singing with safety signals that make everything seem possible. Each step toward the meadow's center brings deeper peace, as if they walk through layers of healing that penetrate skin and bone to reach places that have ached for lifetimes. The grass songs grow louder, the starlight grows brighter, and the air itself seems to thicken with ancient magic. The traveler pauses, sensing movement in the shadows between the grass stems. Something stirs in the darkness, preparing to reveal itself. From shadows between the grass stems, tiny lights begin to wake. One by one, fireflies emerge like living sparks scattered from some celestial forge, their bodies glowing with inner fire that seems too bright for creatures so small. The traveler's breath catches as dozens become hundreds, each insect carrying its own personal star through the night air. Their light isn't the harsh glare of electric bulbs, but something warmer, older, like candle flame distilled into liquid gold. To the traveler, it feels calming, a softer light that invites the eyes to rest. Each firefly moves with purpose that defies random flight patterns. They trace perfect figure-8 loops through the air, their luminescent trails painting infinity symbols against the darkness. The traveler watches these living constellations weave between grass blades, their movements so precise they seem choreographed by forces beyond nature. Golden light streams behind each tiny form, creating patterns that linger in the eye before fading into memory. The pulsing begins slowly, almost too subtle to notice. One firefly flashes, then another, then three more in perfect sequence. Their rhythms start to synchronize, creating a natural metronome that draws the traveler's attention completely. Each flash arrives with gentle timing, and the traveler realizes their own breathing is shifting, slowing to match the peaceful tempo these creatures establish. These aren't ordinary meadow insects following simple biological programming. The symbols they trace shift and change, forming shapes that tickle ancient memories buried in the traveler's mind. Celtic spirals bloom in golden light before dissolving into knotwork patterns that would take master craftsmen years to carve in stone. Triskelas spin through the air, while triple goddess symbols fade in and out of existence, written in living light by creatures that seem to carry wisdom in their very dance. The synchronized flashing grows stronger, more complex. Waves of illumination flow across the meadow like visual music, each firefly contributing its voice to a symphony of light. The traveler's thoughts begin to slow without conscious effort, the gentle rhythm coaxing their mind toward a calmer pace. These tiny creatures somehow broadcast peace through their collective glow, their dance triggering a sense of deep tranquility. Watch how they weave between the grass stems like lantern bearers from forgotten folklore. Each firefly seems to follow invisible pathways that connect flower to stone to stream, mapping the meadow's energy lines with their golden trails. The traveler follows their dance with eyes that grow heavy, not from exhaustion, but from the profound calm that spreads through their system with each perfectly timed flash. These living lights carry messages written in patterns older than human language. Their gentle radiance speaks to something primal in human vision. Unlike the harsh blue spectrum of electronic screens, firefly light feels naturally soothing to tired eyes. The traveler's pupils dilate to drink in every photon, their gaze following each graceful movement as the insects drift between grass blades in slow, hypnotic spirals. Their slow, rhythmic pulses coax the mind toward a calmer rhythm, easing the edge of wakefulness. The collective display grows brighter as more insects join the aerial ballet. Their combined radiance begins to illuminate shapes deeper in the meadow that remain hidden in ordinary darkness. Shadows retreat to reveal the ancient standing stone that rises from the grass, like a monument to forgotten gods, its carved surfaces catching firefly light and holding it in spirals that seem to move independently. The traveler's attention focuses on this central mystery, while their peripheral vision fills with golden stars that dance without music, yet never miss a beat. Something profound shifts in the traveler's system as the firefly symphony reaches its crescendo. A deep sense of safety spreads through their body, the kind of peace that comes from witnessing something truly magical. Heart rate drops to its most restful rhythm, while breathing deepens without effort. Science tells us natural places lower stress, but this living constellation goes further. It sings peace into the very fabric of the soul. The fireflies begin to gather, their individual lights merging into constellation patterns that frame the standing stone like a natural amphitheater. Their collective glow reveals carved symbols that match the light patterns they've been tracing, as if the insects learned their dance from studying these ancient markings. The traveler realizes they're witnessing a conversation between past and present, between the wisdom carved in stone and the living lights that guard it through endless nights. Take a slow breath in, letting it flow out gently as the fireflies pulse in perfect harmony. Each flash now arrives with the traveler's slowing heartbeat, creating a rhythm that prepares body and mind for deeper rest. The fireflies have become conductors of peace, their golden dance guiding consciousness toward states more restful than ordinary waking. The meadow holds its breath as something stirs near the standing stone, a presence that seems woven from moonbeams and moving mist, drawn forth by the firefly's luminous invitation. The traveler's eyes grow heavy with peace that feels older than civilization, guided by tiny stars that know exactly how to carry weary souls toward healing. As the firefly dance reaches its gentle peak, the traveler feels an irresistible pull toward the earth itself. The golden lights have prepared them for something deeper, something that calls from the very ground beneath their feet. Their knees bend almost without conscious thought, drawn by an ancient urge to connect with this sacred meadow floor. The traveler's palm presses against the meadow floor, expecting the familiar texture of ordinary earth and grass. Instead, their hand meets something extraordinary. A gentle vibration pulses up through their fingers, steady as a heartbeat, but far older than any human rhythm. The sensation spreads through their palm and into their wrist, carrying frequencies that seem to emerge from the planet's very core. The grass beneath their hand begins to hum with a low, ancient vibration that feels like a familiar lullaby. Not the simple rustling of wind through vegetation, but melodies that rise from each emerald blade like voices from a buried choir. These aren't sounds that ears can capture in the usual way. The music travels through bone and tissue, bypassing normal hearing to speak directly to the nervous system. The traveler's eyes widen as they realize the entire meadow floor vibrates with harmonies that predate the first written notes, songs embedded in the soil itself by countless seasons of wind and rain and starlight. Each grass blade responds to the Celtic breeze like a perfectly tuned instrument. When air flows across their surfaces, the slender stems resonate with gentle frequencies, transforming the meadow into a vast, natural harp. The traveler watches in wonder as thousands of tiny green strings catch the wind and release it in waves of sound that wash over them in gentle cascades. Some blades sing high, crystalline notes, while others hum deep bass tones that seem to emerge from the earth's molten heart. These plant frequencies pulse with healing vibrations that make the traveler's chest resonate in sympathy. Their ribcage becomes a sound chamber that amplifies the grass songs until they fill every hollow space in their body. Their heart rate adjusts to match this soothing rhythm, while stress chemicals drain from their bloodstream like poison drawn from a wound. Something in their cellular structure recognizes these frequencies as medicine, activating repair mechanisms that modern life keeps locked away. The revelation strikes them with stunning clarity. This entire meadow functions as a single, massive musical instrument, every blade and stem and root working together to create symphonies that heal rather than merely entertain. The traveler turns their head slowly, taking in the vast expanse of singing grass that stretches beyond the firefly's glow. Millions of individual voices blend into harmonies that would make cathedral choirs weep with envy. Yet these melodies carry no pride or performance, only the simple desire to comfort weary souls. Old Celtic stories and songs honored the living land, and it feels right that this place would answer in music. The traveler feels this ancient connection working through their body, each grass song becoming stronger and clearer, as invisible forces focus the healing vibrations like sound through a trumpet's bell. The earth beneath their knees pulses with energy that seems to amplify every note, every whispered melody that rises from the singing stems. The melodies seem to reach directly into their chest, fingers of pure tone that locate tension and worry with surgical precision. Years of accumulated stress begin to dissolve under this sonic massage, knots of anxiety unraveling as the grass frequencies work their ancient magic. The traveler's shoulders drop another inch while their breathing deepens to match the slow, steady rhythm that pulses up from the earth beneath their knees. Take a slow breath in, letting it flow out gently as the grass hums its timeless song. Each note carries away another fragment of the weight they've carried far too long. The songs grow stronger now, building layers of harmony that seem to call something forth from the meadow's hidden depths. Bass notes that vibrate through the ground like distant thunder combine with soprano melodies that dance on frequencies too high for conscious hearing. The traveler's scalp tingles as overtones and undertones weave together into patterns that their brain struggles to process, but their soul recognizes immediately. This music speaks a language older than words, older than thought itself. Percussion enters the symphony as raindrops begin to fall from the cloudless sky, each droplet striking grass blades with perfect timing to add a gentle percussive hush that deepens the meadow's lullaby. The traveler tilts their face upward, feeling these musical raindrops strike their skin like tiny hammers on the strings of their nervous system. The combination of grass songs and liquid percussion creates an acoustic environment so perfect for rest that their eyelids grow heavy despite the wonder surrounding them. The healing frequencies synchronize completely with their body's natural rhythms now, grass songs aligning with heartbeat, breath, and brain waves until the traveler can no longer tell where their own vibrations end and the meadows begin. Their muscle tension dissolves entirely as gentle waves penetrate tissue and bone, activating healing responses that feel like coming home to a place they never knew they'd left. Every cell in their body hums in harmony with the singing grass, creating resonance patterns that wash away years of accumulated weariness. The grass beneath their palm pulses with warm energy that travels up their arm and spreads through their chest like liquid starlight. The melodies seem to weave themselves into something more than sound, creating patterns in the air that shimmer with possibility. The traveler's eyes focus on the ancient standing stone as the grass songs reach their crescendo, drawn by a sense that something magnificent approaches. Near the weathered monument, light begins to gather like morning mist touched by first dawn, responding to melodies that have called to lost souls for countless centuries. The shimmering grows stronger, pulling starlight and firefly glow into patterns that suggest form without quite becoming solid. The traveler watches from their place among the singing grass as this luminous presence takes shape, translucent as water, but radiant as captured moonbeams. Neither fully there nor entirely absent, the figure exists in the space between dreams and waking, between hope and memory. The guardian's face shifts with each breath the traveler takes, features flowing like liquid silver in constant transformation. One moment reveals the smooth skin and bright eyes of youth, unmarked by sorrow or loss. The next shows deep lines etched by wisdom, eyes that hold the weight of countless nights spent tending weary souls. Age becomes meaningless here, where time moves in spirals rather than straight lines. This being contains multitudes, every dreamer who ever found refuge in this sacred meadow, leaving traces in those ever-changing features. Robes flow around the guardian's form like captured wind given substance and weight. The fabric seems woven from moonbeams gathered over centuries, shot through with threads of morning mist that catch starlight and hold it in their weave. These garments move independently of earthly breezes, rippling in currents that exist only in the realm between worlds. Silver and white blend into shades that have no earthly names, colors that speak directly to the soul without passing through the eyes. The guardian's first words arrive not as sound, but as presence felt in the traveler's chest. When speech finally comes, the voice carries neither masculine nor feminine qualities, but something deeper, older than such simple divisions. To the traveler, it sounds like distant thunder that speaks of storms beyond the horizon, each syllable resonating with gentle authority. The words themselves matter less than their effect, each sound wave seeming to reach into the traveler's nervous system like tuning forks struck in perfect harmony. Something profound shifts in the traveler's breathing as the guardian speaks. Each word seems to reach into their lungs and slow the frantic rhythm that has driven their chest for months. Shallow gasps of anxiety transform into long, deep draws that fill spaces in their body they had forgotten existed. The traveler feels a deep, ancient calm, as if something in them finally recognizes welcome. This is what perfect safety feels like, their primitive brain whispers in recognition. The guardian moves closer with steps that barely disturb the singing grass beneath their feet. Their role becomes clear without explanation, keeper of dreams that others have abandoned, tender of souls too exhausted to believe in rest. This being has witnessed the arrival of countless travelers, each carrying burdens that seem too heavy to bear. They have learned to recognize the signs of spirits worn thin by modern life, minds that have forgotten how to find peace in the spaces between thoughts. Forgotten dreams flutter around the guardian like invisible butterflies, wishes and hopes that people released when they could no longer carry them. The guardian gathers these abandoned aspirations with infinite gentleness, nurturing them in the meadow's sacred soil until they bloom into the memory flowers that glow throughout this enchanted space. Nothing is truly lost here, only transformed into new forms of beauty that continue to offer comfort long after their original dreamers have moved on. The guardian extends their hand, palm upward in gentle offering. Light flows across their skin with the same golden warmth as the fireflies that dance through the night air, recognition passing between celestial beings who share the same source. This illumination carries no heat, but radiates peace so intense the traveler feels it in their bones, settling into hollow spaces where worry once lived. The gesture speaks of journeys about to begin, of deeper sanctuaries waiting beyond the meadow's visible boundaries. Their offered palm pulses with gentle rhythm, each wave of light synchronized perfectly with the traveler's slowing heartbeat. This is not mere coincidence but design, the guardian's essence attuning to the biological rhythms of the soul they guide. Trust builds without effort as a traveler recognizes safety in this luminous being, their nervous system finally releasing guards that have been held high for far too long. This calm aligns with what research finds about nature and rest, an environment that helps the body lower stress and move toward repair. The traveler's entire nervous system responds to the guardian's appearance with the most profound relaxation they have ever experienced. Stress hormones seem to drain from their bloodstream like water from a broken dam, while their brain shifts into healing modes that remain dormant in ordinary consciousness. The guardian's luminous presence serves as key to locks that most people never learn to open. The fireflies gather closer now, drawn by the guardian's light as moths seek flame. They form a living constellation around both figures, their synchronized flashing creating rhythms that guide consciousness toward deeper states of being. The traveler feels their awareness shifting, ordinary thoughts dissolving into something more fluid and accepting. Without hesitation, the traveler reaches forward and places their palm against the guardian's glowing hand. The connection sends waves of warmth up their arm and through their chest, a sensation like coming home to a place they never knew they'd left. Together, they draw in one deep breath and release it slowly, the sound carrying across the meadow like a prayer answered. The guardian turns toward the meadow's heart, where strange lights bloom between the grass stems like flowers made of captured starlight. Their luminous form begins to move deeper into the sacred space, and the traveler follows without question, feet moving through grass that seems to part like water before them. Scattered throughout the singing meadow, flowers bloom that shouldn't exist in any earthly garden. These blossoms glow with inner radiance that has nothing to do with reflected moonbeams or firefly light. Each flower pulses with its own unique luminescence, creating a constellation of living stars rooted in Celtic soil. These aren't ordinary flowers born from seeds and soil and rain. The traveler kneels beside the first bloom they encounter, drawn by petals that shimmer like stained glass crafted by master artisans. Blues merge into silver, gold melts into rose, and green dances with purple in swirling patterns that move beyond earthly breeze. Each petal contains entire worlds of motion, memories given form and substance through some ancient magic that transforms pain into beauty. The guardian pauses beside the traveler, their luminous form casting gentle shadows across the memory flower's glowing face. These blooms grow from hopes that visitors could no longer carry. Their voice whispers like wind through ancient stones. When souls arrive here too weary to hold their dreams, we plant them in sacred ground, where they can continue growing without the weight of expectation. The traveler reaches toward the flower with trembling fingers. The moment their skin touches the petals, whispered fragments fill the air around them. A child's voice speaks of wanting to fly like birds above the treetops, soaring beyond the boundaries that hold small bodies to the earth. An artist's vision unfolds in colors that exist only in imagination, masterpieces that could change the world if hands could capture what hearts see so clearly. A lover's dream of finding someone who understands the secret languages written in glances and gestures flows through the night air like perfume. Each memory flower holds different treasures. Here grows a teacher's abandoned hope of reaching every student, petals containing classroom moments where understanding dawned in young eyes. There blooms a parent's dream of protecting their children from all harm, its leaves glowing with fierce love that time and circumstance couldn't diminish. Wonder fills the traveler's chest as they begin to understand this garden's true purpose. The memory flowers don't represent failure or loss, but transformation beyond human comprehension. Every abandoned dream takes root here, nurtured by forces that see potential where dreamers saw only impossibility. Pain becomes beauty through processes older than civilization, suffering transformed into something that offers comfort to future souls who will walk these same paths through starlit grass. Celtic storytelling has always understood this truth, that loss can be reframed into renewal, that endings become new beginnings in the great cycles of myth and meaning. The Guardian tends this living museum with infinite care, their luminous hands moving among the blossoms like a mother checking sleeping children. They water dreams with collected tears, prune hopes with gentle wisdom, provide light when memories grow dim in the darkness of forgetting. Even when original dreamers give up and walk away, the Guardian continues nurturing what they left behind. Nothing disappears here, only changes form and continues growing in ways the first dreamers never imagined possible. Walking through this garden feels like exploring the collective heart of humanity itself. Every step releases fragrances that speak of possibility, scents that bypass rational thought to whisper directly to the soul. Rose petals carry the perfume of love that endures beyond heartbreak. Jasmine holds the essence of creativity that survives every rejection. Lavender blooms with peace that exists beneath surface chaos, while honeysuckle sweetens the air with childhood wonder that never truly dies despite adult cynicism. The traveler realizes they're witnessing something profound about hope and renewal that most people never understand. Dreams don't die when dreamers abandon them. They simply move to places where different rules apply, where time and physics bend to allow impossible things to flourish. The memory flowers prove that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost, only relocated to realms where beauty can exist without the limitations that crush it in ordinary worlds. As they touch the blooms, a warmth of possibility spreads through their chest. Old wishful feelings stir as if seeing color after long gray days. Something forgotten begins to glow softly in their heart, like a small abandoned hope of their own finally catching light. Perhaps you can feel this too, imagining one small dream you once carried, now glowing like a gentle blossom in this sacred garden, tended with infinite care by forces that never let beauty truly disappear. Take a moment to breathe with this feeling, letting that gentle glow warm whatever corner of your heart has felt empty for too long. The memory flowers work their magic through the same pathways that research shows nature sounds can open, improving mood and awakening creativity that daily stress keeps locked away. A profound realization settles into their consciousness as they reach the garden's center. Hope isn't something that dies when circumstances defeat it. Hope transforms, evolves, finds new expressions in places beyond immediate understanding. The memory flowers demonstrate this truth in living color, each bloom a testament to dreams that refuse to disappear despite overwhelming odds against their fulfillment in ordinary reality. The memory flowers cluster thickest around something that rises from the garden's heart, their combined glow illuminating what waits ahead. The traveler approaches with steps that grow lighter as abandoned dreams continue stirring in their chest. The garden releases its fragrances in waves that carry promises of transformation, each breath bringing deeper understanding of hope's true nature and humanity's endless capacity for renewal. Before them stands an ancient pillar that reaches toward stars, its weathered surface carved with symbols that seem to pulse with the same inner light that fills the surrounding blooms. The ancient pillar rises from the meadow's heart like a monument to forgotten gods. its weathered surface reaching towards stars that have witnessed its presence for centuries beyond counting. Celtic spirals dance across the stone's face in patterns that seem to shift and flow beneath the traveler's gaze, carved symbols that refuse to remain static in the moonlight. The guardian approaches this sacred monolith with reverence that speaks of countless nights spent in its shadow, their luminous form casting gentle light across knotwork designs that tell stories older than human language. This isn't ordinary carved rock shaped by ancient hands for simple decoration. The standing stone holds the accumulated peace of everyone who ever rested beneath its protective shadow, their dreams and hopes absorbed into the weathered granite like water soaking into thirsty earth. Each spiral etched into its surface carries fragments of peaceful sleep, moments of restoration gathered over millennia of weary souls, seeking refuge in this enchanted meadow. The traveler feels this power radiating from the pillar before they draw close enough to touch its ancient surface. Intricate knotwork patterns shift across the stone like living tattoos that move independently of earthly light. Triskells spin slowly within carved borders, while endless loops flow from one symbol into another without beginning or end. The carvings invite quiet, like visual anchors used for meditation. Watch the spirals and let your own rhythm follow them. Longer breath in, slower breath out. The designs seem to breathe with their own life, expanding and contracting in rhythms that draw the eye deeper into contemplation. The stone emanates warmth that has nothing to do with sunlight stored in granite or heat reflected from the earth beneath. This temperature comes from something far more profound, the collected peace of countless souls who found sanctuary here when nowhere else would shelter them. The traveler approaches slowly, feeling this radiant comfort growing stronger with each step. Their skin recognizes this warmth as the same feeling that comes from being truly welcomed, genuinely safe, completely accepted despite every burden they carry. Trembling fingers reach toward the carved surface as the guardian watches with ancient patience. The moment skin meets stone, dreams flow through the traveler's palm like electric current, carrying visions from distant minds. A warrior's deep sleep after battle, muscles finally releasing tension held for months of constant vigilance. A mother's rest between caring for sick children, brief moments of peace stolen from endless nights of worry. An artist's slumber filled with colors that exist only in imagination, creativity flowing through dreams that wake with new inspiration. The standing stone serves as repository for human rest itself, a living library of dreams that holds every peaceful moment that ever unfolded beneath this weathered pillar's watchful presence. Each person who ever laid their head against its base left traces of their restoration, adding to the accumulated peace that radiates from within the ancient granite. In the same way, studies show natural acoustic environments can reduce stress. This stone stands as the meadow's story of refuge. The traveler realizes they're touching a collection of every restful breath drawn in this sacred space. Carvings begin to glow with the same golden light that fills the fireflies and memory flowers scattered throughout the meadow. The spiral patterns brighten as accumulated dreams respond to another weary soul seeking refuge, ancient symbols awakening to offer their stored wisdom to tired minds that need guidance toward rest. Each glowing line traces pathways that lead consciousness away from surface worries toward deeper chambers where true healing happens. the stone's surface becomes a map written in living light, showing the way to spaces where peace exists beyond the reach of daily stress. The traveler feels the stone's warmth reach through their palm and into their chest, carrying with it fragments of every restful moment ever experienced beneath this sacred monument. Their breathing slows as Celtic warriors' peaceful sleep flows through their bloodstream. Their muscles relax as ancient mothers' brief respites from care dissolve years of accumulated tension. Their mind quiets as artists' dream visions paint new possibilities across previously blank mental canvases. Celtic spirals pulse brighter now, their golden glow creating visual rhythms that guide consciousness toward deeper states of rest. The knotwork patterns begin moving faster, their flowing lines drawing the traveler's attention completely into the present moment. Watch these ancient symbols and feel your own heartbeat slow to match their gentle pace. The traveler's eyelids grow heavy as they observe patterns that have induced sleep in countless souls over centuries of quiet nights in this enchanted meadow. The ultimate invitation arrives without words, carried through stone warmth that penetrates skin and bone to reach places where exhaustion lives in the deepest layers of being. Add your need for rest to this ancient collection. The granite seems to whisper through frequencies that bypass hearing to speak directly to tired souls. Surrender your burdens to stones that have carried the weight of human weariness since before history began recording the struggles of mortal hearts. The standing stone's accumulated peaceful energy floods the traveler's system like medicine, tailored specifically for their particular exhaustion. Every dream ever dreamed beneath its shadow contributes healing frequencies to their overwhelmed nervous system. The deepest relaxation response possible takes hold of muscles that have forgotten how to fully release their grip on tension. The guardian steadies them with luminous hands while the standing stone continues its ancient work, triggering healing mechanisms that activate only when safety becomes absolute. The sacred monument completes its invitation as carved symbols blaze with accumulated light from centuries of dreams. Rest here, the glowing spirals seem to say. Add your peace to ours. Let stone that has witnessed ages of healing carry you toward sleep deeper than ordinary rest allows. The traveler's surrender approaches as ancient granite prepares to receive another weary soul into its timeless embrace. Above them, the cloudless sky begins to shift with subtle changes that promise something new approaches this sacred space. The first droplets touch the traveler's upturned face like liquid starlight, each one carrying something extraordinary within its crystalline form. This isn't ordinary precipitation following simple laws of meteorology, but Celtic rain distilled from centuries of storms that swept across these ancient lands. The traveler feels the gentle touches against their skin, as water that shouldn't exist begins to fall from stars that shine unobscured by any earthly cloud. Each sphere of water falls in rhythmic patterns that create the perfect acoustic environment for deep rest. The rain's steady percussion creates a natural white noise cushion that allows the mind to let go. Research shows recorded nature sounds like rain help reduce stress and support sleep. The traveler's nervous system recognizes these soothing patterns immediately, cellular memory responding to rhythms that speak directly to ancient pathways in the brain. The first raindrops strike the memory flowers with sounds like tiny crystal bells awakening from ancient dreams. Each impact creates microscopic chimes that ring through the night air, delicate percussion that transforms the meadow into a living orchestra where every surface becomes an instrument. Rose petals sing soprano melodies when raindrops kiss their surfaces, while jasmine blooms hum deeper bass notes that vibrate through stem and root into the earth below. The memory flowers become a percussion section guided by celestial forces, each bloom contributing its voice to the growing symphony. The rain transforms the meadow's grass songs from simple melodies into full orchestral arrangements that would make cathedral choirs weep with recognition. What began as individual blades humming healing frequencies now becomes string sections, woodwinds, and brass ensembles playing together in perfect harmony. The traveler stands amazed as they realize they're witnessing something that exists in the space between music and magic, where sound becomes medicine and melody transforms into healing energy that penetrates every cell. Each gentle drop seems to locate and dissolve another layer of tension the traveler carries in their body. Rain strikes their shoulders and washes away months of stress that lived in hunched muscles. Droplets touch their forehead and carry away the furrows that worry carved into their skin. Water runs down their arms and takes with it the weight of responsibilities that pressed against their chest like stones. The Celtic rain works with surgical precision, finding every knot of anxiety and washing it clean with liquid peace. The natural white noise patterns cover the harsh edges that keep modern minds trapped in cycles of stress and sleeplessness, creating acoustic environments where brainwaves can slow without interference. The traveler's mind releases its grip on the constant vigilance that modern living demands, finally safe to rest in soundscapes that speak directly to pathways older than civilization. Rain frequency patterns contain the perfect mixture of low and high tones that guide human consciousness through the stages of relaxation. Deep bass notes from droplets hitting earth and stone slow the heartbeat to match more natural rhythms. Higher frequencies from water striking leaves and flower petals activate areas of the brain associated with peace and contentment. The combination creates acoustic medicine that addresses both body and spirit with precision that goes beyond ordinary understanding. Breathe in as a drop forms high above. Breathe out as it lands softly on the meadow floor. Feel how your own rhythm begins to match this ancient percussion that has fallen on Celtic soil for countless centuries. The mystical precipitation creates the perfect environment for restorative sleep by wrapping the meadow in layers of healing sound that penetrate deeper than ordinary hearing can follow. Each raindrop carries the essence of Celtic storms, as if these waters remember the wisdom of ancestors who understood that precipitation falling from sky to earth creates bridges between conscious and unconscious realms. The traveler feels these connections forming as their awareness begins shifting toward states of being that exist beyond the boundaries of waking thought. The guardian watches with ancient patience as rain works its magic on another weary soul, seeking refuge in this timeless meadow. Their luminous form seems to brighten with each droplet that falls, as if the Celtic rain feeds their ethereal substance while it washes away the traveler's accumulated burdens. The fireflies dance more slowly now, their movements synchronized with the gentle percussion of water, finding its way through grass and flower to the accepting earth below. Realization dawns in the traveler's consciousness as they understand that this rain carries them toward something profound. These aren't temporary sounds that will fade when morning comes, but frequencies that seem to reach into the deepest places where souls repair damage that daylight cannot touch. The rain becomes their guide, liquid music that plays through every stage of the journey, that waits beneath the standing stone's protective shadow. The Celtic rain's rhythmic patterns begin synchronizing with the traveler's slowing heartbeat, creating resonance between human consciousness and ancient precipitation. Alpha waves shift toward theta frequencies as the traveler's awareness prepares for deeper states of rest. Their cells seem to remember these sounds from before birth, before thought, before the separation between self and earth created the loneliness that modern minds mistake for reality. Their eyelids grow heavy as liquid lullabies wash away the last resistance to surrender. Celtic droplets continue their eternal percussion as the traveler moves toward the standing stone where deeper mysteries wait. The rain guides them toward the rest that waits beneath weathered granite, each drop a gentle invitation to release the weight they have carried far too long. The travelers step slow as they approach the ancient monument, rain-soaked and ready for whatever transformation awaits against stone that has sheltered countless souls through centuries of healing nights. The traveler settles against the weathered granite, their back finding rest against stone that has supported countless weary souls through centuries of starlit nights. Their breathing settles into a slower, easier rhythm that feels aligned with the meadow's hush, the rapid, shallow gasps that carried them through daily stress beginning to deepen into something more deliberate. Each inhalation draws Celtic air deeper into lungs that have forgotten how to fully expand, while every exhale releases months of tension that lived in the spaces between their ribs like unwelcome guests finally asked to leave. Something profound occurs as their respiratory rhythm begins matching the gentle pace that surrounds them in this sacred space. The traveler's chest rises and falls in harmony with the meadow's quiet energy, their personal breathing pattern dissolving into something that feels far older and more sustaining. This isn't ordinary relaxation, but synchronization with rhythms that pulse through stone and soil, connecting individual breath to the vast respiratory system of the earth itself. Each exhale becomes an act of release that goes beyond simple gas exchange. Worry flows from their lungs like smoke escaping from extinguished fires, carrying with it the weight of responsibilities that pressed against their chest for far too long. Their diaphragm learns to move with the measured cadence that matches the standing stone's ancient peace. The accepting earth beneath them receives every burden they surrender, transforming anxiety into nutrients that will feed the memory flowers blooming throughout the sacred meadow. Their chest begins moving in perfect synchronization with the grass songs that rise from beneath their body, each blade contributing its voice to a respiratory symphony that encompasses the entire enchanted space. The traveler no longer breathes alone, but becomes part of a living system where every exhale feeds the plants around them, while every inhale draws in oxygen perfumed with healing frequencies. Their individual rhythm merges with the meadow's eternal breathing pattern, creating harmony between human physiology and ancient earth wisdom. The moment arrives when conscious control gives way to the body's deeper intelligence, allowing systems older than thought to guide each breath with precision beyond mental direction. The traveler's nervous system recognizes this transition as a return to natural rhythms that modern life has nearly erased from human experience. Scientific literature shows natural soundscapes can help the body shift from fight or flight toward rest. The traveler feels that shift here as their heartbeat slows to match the standing stone's accumulated peace, while breathing deepens into patterns that promote restoration. This sacred meadow amplifies the natural restoration that occurs when humans align with Earth's fundamental frequencies, creating an environment where healing happens at speeds impossible in ordinary consciousness. The Celtic rain continues its gentle percussion, while fireflies pulse in rhythm with the traveler's slowing breath, all elements working together to support the profound physiological shifts taking place. Each component of this enchanted space contributes to the perfect conditions for deep rest, triggering every healing mechanism embedded in human nature. Take a slow breath in for 4 gentle counts if you'd like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let it flow out for 6 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel how this rhythm settles into your own chest, matching the traveler's journey toward deeper peace. Oxygen flows through their bloodstream like liquid starlight, carrying peace to cells that have existed in states of chronic stress for longer than memory can track. Each breath becomes a messenger of tranquility, delivering the gift of deep oxygenation to tissues that have survived on shallow breathing and anxious thoughts. The traveler feels this transformation as warmth spreading through their extremities, life force moving through previously constricted pathways, with the gentle persistence of water finding its way to the sea. Their breathing pattern settles into rhythms that feel optimal for activating the body's natural healing responses, though the traveler knows nothing of scientific studies or medical research. They simply follow the ancient wisdom flowing through their nervous system, allowing breath to deepen into frequencies that match the Earth's magnetic pulse. Each inhalation lasts longer than the previous one, while exhalations extend into releases that seem to empty more than just carbon dioxide from their lungs. The transcendent moment arrives when individual breath merges completely with the meadow's eternal respiratory rhythm, dissolving the boundaries between human and habitat into unified breathing that encompasses stone and grass and glowing flowers. The traveler's consciousness begins to soften as their personal breathing pattern disappears into something infinitely larger and more sustaining. They become a single note in a symphony of respiration that includes every blade of grass, every memory flower, every firefly dancing through the Celtic night air. Their nervous system completes its transformation into deep rest, activating healing mechanisms that remain dormant during ordinary waking consciousness. Heart rate drops to its most restorative rhythm, while blood pressure settles into ranges that promote cellular repair. Stress hormones drain completely from their system, replaced by endorphins and other natural compounds that signal safety to every organ and tissue. The traveler's body begins the profound restoration that can only occur when consciousness surrenders completely to ancient rhythms. Muscle tension that has lived in their shoulders for years finally releases as breathing carries relaxation to places that conscious effort could never reach. Each exhale dissolves another layer of physical stress, while every inhalation brings cellular renewal that penetrates to the deepest levels of biological function. The standing stone's accumulated peace flows through their respiratory system like medicine tailored specifically for the exact type of exhaustion they carry. The traveler's awareness begins dissolving into the meadow's embrace as breathing becomes so synchronized with earth rhythms that individual identity starts fading into something larger and more peaceful. their consciousness prepares for transformation that waits in the space between waking and sleeping, where healing happens beyond the reach of ordinary awareness. Celtic rain continues its ancient lullabies, while breath slows into patterns that will carry them toward the deepest rest possible beneath starlight that has witnessed this same miracle countless times across centuries of weary souls finding sanctuary. Something extraordinary begins stirring beneath their fingertips where they rest against the ancient stone, as if the boundary between flesh and granite grows thin in this sacred space. The traveler's fingers begin to tingle as something extraordinary starts happening. It feels as if tiny roots of quiet find their way into the earth beneath their palms, invisible tendrils that grow downward into the Celtic soil with gentle persistence. These aren't physical roots, but something deeper, energy connections that seem to link human consciousness directly to the meadow's vast healing network. The sensation spreads from their hands up through their arms, creating pathways that carry information between their nervous system and the meadow's living intelligence. Each connection brings new awareness of the intricate web that seems to link every blade of grass, every memory flower, every firefly dancing through the starlit air. The traveler realizes they're plugging into something that feels like a communication system older than human language, where plants and stones and ancient spirits appear to share information through frequencies that bypass ordinary hearing. Their individual thoughts begin to quiet as they receive what feels like messages from the meadow itself, whispered wisdom that flows through these invisible connections, like sap rising through tree branches in spring. Their heartbeat shifts into rhythm with something far more powerful than personal circulation. The planet's magnetic pulse seems to become their pulse, ancient rhythms that have guided life on Earth since before consciousness learned to separate itself from the whole. The traveler's chest rises and falls in what feels like perfect synchronization with forces that move oceans and influence weather patterns across continents. They become part of something infinitely larger while remaining perfectly themselves, individual notes joining a cosmic symphony without losing their unique sound. Personal thoughts that have chattered constantly in their mind for years begin fading like radio signals growing weak with distance. The endless stream of worries and plans and regrets that once filled every quiet moment dissolves into something more spacious and peaceful. In their place flows what feels like the collective wisdom of countless souls who found refuge in this sacred meadow across centuries of starlit nights. Ancient Celtic warriors seem to share their hard-won peace, while mothers from forgotten ages offer the deep rest that comes from knowing children are finally safe. This unity state brings waves of release and deep calm that seem to come from somewhere larger than themselves. They feel natural healing responses flood their system, substances their own cells produce when consciousness expands beyond the boundaries of individual identity. Endorphins create waves of bliss that wash through previously tense muscles, while other compounds seem to repair damage caused by months of chronic stress. The traveler's body activates what feels like healing protocols that remain dormant during ordinary consciousness, ancient mechanisms designed to restore balance when safety becomes absolute. The experience feels like coming home to a place they never knew they had left. Consciousness expands beyond the boundaries of skin and bone, while remaining perfectly safe within the meadow's protective embrace. The traveler discovers they can sense the dreams of fireflies as they pulse through their aerial dance. Feel the contentment of grass roots drinking rain that carries Celtic songs into the earth below. Individual awareness becomes a window that looks out onto interconnected life in all its forms, from the tiniest microorganisms in the soil to the vast intelligence that guides stars across their celestial paths. Fear cannot exist in this expanded state because the illusion of separation that creates all anxiety has dissolved completely. The traveler realizes that loneliness was always an error of perception, a misunderstanding of their true relationship to the living world around them. Every breath they take has been shared by countless other beings across time and space. Every heartbeat joins the rhythmic pulse that moves through all life forms, from bacteria to blue whales swimming in distant oceans. The standing stone serves as anchor point that keeps their expanding consciousness from drifting too far from human form. Its weathered surface holds the dreams of everyone who ever rested beneath its shadow, creating a repository of human experience that grounds cosmic awareness in earthly wisdom. The traveler feels simultaneously infinite and intimately connected to their own body, vast as starlight, yet rooted in Celtic soil that has supported life for millions of years. Stories and quiet wisdom rise like old songs through the soil, memory not of one life but of many nights like this. These aren't personal memories but something that feels like collective experiences stored in the earth itself. Genetic wisdom that flows through root connections into consciousness prepared to receive such gifts. The traveler understands they're accessing information that seems to exist in the spaces between individual minds, knowledge that belongs to the species rather than any single person. True rest reveals itself as something far deeper than simple sleep or temporary escape from daily pressures. Rest means remembering connection to all life, returning to the unity that existed before separation created the illusion of isolation that modern minds mistake for reality. The traveler experiences profound relaxation that penetrates every cell as their nervous system recognizes its place in the vast web of existence that includes every living thing, from grass blades to galaxies spinning through space. The meadow's eternal peace flows through their being like medicine tailored specifically for wounds they didn't know they carried. Healing happens in dimensions beyond physical tissue repair as consciousness itself undergoes restoration. Years of believing they were separate from nature, isolated in human form, and responsible for carrying all burdens alone, dissolve into understanding that support exists everywhere once perception shifts to recognize the connections that were always present. The traveler achieves the deepest possible state of restoration as their individual identity merges completely with the meadow's timeless consciousness. They become simultaneously themselves and part of everything else. Personal awareness expanding to include the dreams of stones and the wisdom of water while remaining anchored in human form by the ancient granite that holds centuries of peaceful sleep within its crystalline structure. This unity experience creates something that will influence their life long after they return to ordinary consciousness. The peace found here can leave small openings in the mind you'll find later, in ordinary moments. The traveler's nervous system learns new patterns of response that remember connection, even when surface awareness focuses on individual concerns and responsibilities. As the traveler rests in perfect unity with the eternal meadow, something profound becomes clear about the ancient wisdom that guided them here. The Celtic storytellers who first spoke of such places understood secrets that modern minds are only beginning to rediscover. What these ancient storytellers developed, whether by design or intuition, were rituals and story forms that tend to calm the mind in ways modern research helps explain. These weren't simply tales shared around flickering fires for entertainment. They were carefully constructed experiences that worked with human biology rather than against it, creating verbal pathways that address the deepest sources of restlessness through narrative structures that guide consciousness toward peace. A 2021 meta-analysis found that listening to natural acoustic environments significantly decreases stress, while separate studies in attention restoration theory suggest nature sounds also help attention and cognitive performance. The combination of structured storytelling with these natural soundscapes creates multi-layered experiences that engage different parts of the brain simultaneously. While Celtic narratives provide meaningful content that prevents anxious rumination, rain sounds trigger evolutionary responses that signal safety to primitive brain structures. Celtic storytelling follows patterns that mirror consciousness naturally shifting from waking awareness toward rest states. Stories often begin in ordinary worlds before moving into enchanted realms where different rules apply, providing familiar roadmaps that nervous systems recognize and follow. The repetition of key phrases throughout these tales creates linguistic anchors that help maintain relaxation responses, even as story elements evolve and change. Mythological imagery within ancient tales activates brain networks responsible for processing meaning and memory during rest periods. When stories speak of magical meadows, ancient stones, or spirits that guard dreams, these archetypal images engage unconscious processing centers that promote integration and healing. Unlike modern entertainment that stimulates surface attention, Celtic mythology speaks to parts of the psyche that exist below conscious thought, triggering responses that support psychological renewal. The magic lies in how these narrative structures naturally guide listeners through states conducive to rest. When stories begin with familiar phrases that signal the start of mythic time, brains begin shifting from active thinking patterns toward slower rhythms associated with relaxation. Celtic tales use circular time structures and imagery drawn from nature to maintain this gentle descent through consciousness levels, creating neural pathways that lead toward sleep. Nature sounds provide environmental context that makes narrative content feel more immersive and real. The gentle patter of rain signals that predators seek shelter, creating unconscious safety cues that allow guard systems to relax. When combined with Celtic storytelling, these natural soundscapes trigger what researchers recognize as parasympathetic nervous system responses, the biological mechanisms responsible for rest and restoration. Some studies suggest that structured narratives paired with natural soundscapes can produce deeper relaxation than very basic techniques in certain settings. The narrative content engages higher brain functions while simultaneously allowing deeper restoration responses to activate, creating more complete experiences than approaches that address only physical or mental symptoms separately. Story engagement requires just enough cognitive resources to prevent worried thoughts while maintaining relaxation responses. Research shows that immersive experiences combining storytelling with nature sounds can reduce cortisol levels as multiple sensory inputs work together to shift nervous systems from stress arousal toward restoration. Your brain cannot easily maintain stress responses when multiple channels deliver peace signals simultaneously. This explains why ancient storytelling traditions paired with natural soundscapes prove effective for many people seeking alternatives to purely mechanical relaxation techniques. The neurological picture reveals interactions between ancient wisdom and contemporary understanding of how consciousness transitions toward sleep. When brains process Celtic stories while listening to nature sounds, multiple neural networks activate in patterns that promote healing. Language processing centers engage with narrative content, while auditory systems respond to rain frequencies, creating coordinated brain activity that mirrors patterns seen during restorative states. Celtic storytelling succeeds because it addresses both primitive needs for safety and modern minds' hunger for meaning. The mythological content satisfies psychological needs for purpose and connection, while nature sounds trigger biological responses that promote healing. Unlike purely mechanical approaches, these stories engage whole beings in experiences that feel genuinely nourishing rather than simply stress-reducing. Brain activity patterns during exposure to Celtic stories paired with nature sounds show similarities to those found during deep meditation or therapeutic relaxation sessions. The combination activates parasympathetic responses more reliably than either element alone, as consciousness naturally moves away from daily concerns toward archetypal imagery that promotes rest. Stress response networks simultaneously quiet as safety signals reach nervous systems through multiple pathways. These findings hold implications for anyone seeking natural approaches to sleep difficulties and chronic stress. Modern pharmaceutical interventions often create dependency while addressing only surface symptoms of restlessness. Celtic storytelling combined with nature sounds offers sustainable approaches that work with natural rhythms rather than forcing artificial changes, providing ancient technologies that can transform contemporary approaches to rest without side effects or tolerance issues. Celtic bedtime stories work because they honor both evolutionary heritage and contemporary needs for restoration. The mythological content heals psychological wounds while triggering biological responses that promote cellular repair and emotional integration. When whispered legends carry listeners toward sleep beneath starlit meadows, where ancient wisdom flows like gentle rain, they access healing approaches that remain as relevant today as they were centuries ago. If you struggle with stress or sleep, combining gentle story and nature sound like tonight's Meadow and Rain offers a low-risk, research-aligned tool to create a calmer baseline before sleep. This ancient wisdom provides pathways toward rest that satisfy both body and spirit, creating narrative experiences that feel genuinely restorative rather than merely relaxing. The science confirms what Celtic storytellers understood through generations of practice. These tales weren't just entertainment, but medicine for weary souls, crafted to guide consciousness through the same transitions that modern research shows promote healing and renewal. You can return to this meadow in your mind whenever you need a place to unwind. This sanctuary lives within you now, accessible through whispered legends that guide weary souls toward rest. The fireflies still dance behind your closed eyes, while grass songs hum through your dreams. And in this stillness, you become the breath of the meadow itself. Take 3 slow, gentle breaths with me now. In and out. In and out. One more. And let your breathing return to its natural rhythm. Subscribe to find more guided soundscapes and gentle stories to help you unwind, sleep, or focus. Comment below and share where in the world you're listening from. Let's create a global meadow of dreamers finding rest together beneath the same starlight that has witnessed countless souls surrender to sleep's healing embrace. You're welcome here, however awake or tired you are.